After a successful crusade to capture the city of Ceuta on the North African coastline from Muslim control, Prince Henry the Navigator started a school of navigation in Sagres, Portugal in 1419. Prince Henry was lured by the fable of a legendary Christian kingdom ruled by Prester John in the heart of Africa, which did not exist. He was also motivated to find a new sea route to the rich spice lands of India so as to avoid the Muslim middlemen which controlled the trade coming out of the east. From Lagos, Portugal, Prince Henry launched his explorers. Their job was to map the West African coastline. No one knew at that time how far south the continent lay. Until that point, no sailors had ever ventured south of 27 degrees north latitude, Cape Bojador. There were tall tales of boiling water near the equator, sea monsters, or falling off the face of the earth. The truth was the Cape was a very treacherous coastline, due to shoals and fog coming off the coast. Prince Henry's navigators took advantage of new technology that aided navigation: rudders, square and triangular sails, magnetic compass, and the astrolabe. In 1434, Gil Innes was the first to go further than Cape Bojador. However, Prince Henry died in 1460 and never got to witness the breakthroughs that came shortly thereafter. While the Portuguese kept sailing down the coast, an Italian-born navigator, the son of a master weaver, Christopher Columbus, decided to sail west. In 1492, with the backing of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain, Columbus left for a voyage of uncertainty. On the basis of wide readings in the existing geographical literature, Columbus believed the Earth was a relatively small sphere with a circumference of 17,000 nautical miles. It is in fact 25,000 miles. Lucky for Columbus, there was a giant landmass standing in the way, or he and his crew would have never survived the trip to their original destination, the Orient, on the 3 meager ships and supplies at their disposal. Columbus left Spain in August 1492 and stopped at the Canary Islands on the east coast of Africa for provisioning, and resumed sail in September. On October 12, 1492, he made landfall on an island that the local inhabitants called Guanahani, which he renamed San Salvador. It is part of the Bahama Islands. Believing he reached the Indies, he also renamed the inhabitants, the Tainos, Indios. Columbus sailed around the Caribbean for 3 months in search of gold. He found very little, but he did make landfall at some of the greater islands of the Greater Antilles, like Cuba and Santo Domingo. Columbus never reached the riches of Asia, but news of his voyage spread rapidly throughout Europe, and hundreds of Spanish, English, French, and Dutch mariners followed in his wake. Thus, Columbus's voyages to the Western Hemisphere had unintended but momentous consequences, since they established links between the Eastern and Western Hemispheres, and paved the way for conquest, settlement, and exploitation of the Americas by European peoples. In the meantime, the Portuguese continued their voyages down the west coast of Africa, and in 1498, Vasco da Gama rounded the Cape of Good Hope and reached the wealthy port city of Calcutta, India. Soon the rush was on for Dutch, French, English, and Spanish to establish trade posts in India, Indonesia, and China to tap into the spice trade. These voyages were the beginning roots of a global economy, sometimes called the Columbian Exchange, the global diffusion of plants, food crops, animal, and human populations across both hemispheres. It also led to the spread of ideas, religion, and deadly pathogens such as smallpox that wiped out entire native populations that came in contact with it. The world population when Columbus left in 1492 was 500 million people. In 500 short years, it would reach 7 billion.